When I run my own business, everything will be so much more efficient. I will never spend time on things that don't matter. I am going to 80-20 the shit out of my business, and it'll be all productivity and no fluff. Hi everybody, I'm Adina Rial. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about entrepreneurship, productivity, and lifestyle design. And today I wanted to share with you guys things that I kind of wish I had known before I left my job in high tech to go off and start my own business. And I hope that this is going to be really helpful to any of you who are considering making a kind of move like that, or maybe if you already have and you've run into the same things and you haven't really been able to articulate the lessons yet. I hope that this will do that for you. Okay, so if that is interesting to you, please stick around and watch, and I'm sure that you will really enjoy today's video. Okay, so the first really important lesson that I learned is that while burning the boats is really important, what's actually more important is really feeling that fire within yourself. And I'll explain what I mean by all of that. So a lot of people talk about how when you start your own business, you need to leave yourself no way back. You need to put yourself in sort of a do or die kind of place. And we use the phrase burning the boats to reference that. And that's a reference to some wartime general who, upon arriving with his ships on enemy land, actually burned all of his boats, all of his ships, so that basically the soldiers had no other option but to fight through. And they knew that otherwise, they couldn't return home unless they were victorious. So this is basically another way of saying that victory has to be your only option, right? As Eminem has said it better before me, success is my only bleeping option, failure's not. And I think that a lot of times people put themselves in situations where they burn the boats, but they haven't actually burnt the boats. And what do I mean by that is it's actually really, really, really difficult to truly burn boats in your life. So even if you quit your job, even if you announce to the entire world that you're never coming back, there's no way that industry will ever see you again, you're out, you're no more corporate, no more high tech, no more startups, wherever it is that you come from, there actually usually is a way back. There usually is, and I'm a firm believer that if you truly decide to go after something, you can achieve it, and that includes you turning back. And I mean, we see this happening all the time. People who go off, try being a freelancer, try starting a business, try their hand at entrepreneurship and decide, you know what, that's not for me. And they go back and they're good. And so what I've actually discovered is that it's really not so much about all those things that you do on the outside. All those things can help a little bit, right? Announcing these like grand announcements that kind of force you with social pressure to live up to what you said, or maybe spending a lot of money, like investing a ton of money up front in your new venture so that you would feel like you have this sunk cost about leaving it now. But all of those things do not compare to the power of really making a strong commitment and decision that you are going to figure this out. You are going to be successful. Whatever success means to you, you're going to get that and you're going to be victorious no matter what. So you don't need to actually burn any boats. And in fact, a lot of times that ends up being counterproductive for a lot of people. And I wanted to expand on that a little bit because I feel like in my industry, this isn't something that's often talked about. In my industry, is very common to say, burn the boats, leave yourself no other option. And the downside of that is often glossed over. So I wanted to open that up a little bit and tell you guys what could be a potential downside. What can happen sometimes if the internal commitment isn't there and you're just trying to make up for it by burning boats, right? By closing off doors for yourself externally and making it externally, focusing on all these external factors that would make it impossible for you to return. So you have to be victorious, right? What could be really detrimental about that is because there isn't, as we said, there isn't actually usually a way to close all the doors, to burn all the boats. There's always a way. There's always going to be a way for you to do something else if that's what you truly want to do. There's always going to be a way for you to wiggle out of your commitment if you're not committed, or if really you're committed to something else. And because of that, a lot of your mental energy, when you've quote unquote burned the boats, a lot of your mental energy will start going to finding these other ways where, how can I go back? Instead of focusing on victory, you're on the one hand closing all these doors and burning all these boats, and at the same time spending a lot of energy trying to make sure that you do have a little bit of a way back. Okay, so or trying to find the way back despite the door that you just closed for yourself. And I found that to be really mentally and energetically draining. And what's much, much, much better is to actually focus on being super decisive and super clear about what it is that you want to do, and spending time on the positive, right? Spending time on strengthening every single day why you must be victorious, and not because you don't have any other choice, because you always have a choice, but because this is the choice that you're making. You're making the choice to be successful and to figure it out and to go and get it no matter what. Again, not because you don't have a choice, because as we said, that just never happens. You always have another choice. So trying to close off all these doors and burn all these boats isn't going to work, because you're always going to be managed. You're always going to be able to find another one. Okay, so it never, never, ever ends. And it's much more helpful to instead look forward, focus on your goal, and make sure that you're strengthening that commitment every single day. The second thing I wish I would have known before I left my job to start my business is that those things that I'm trying to escape from into my business are actually going to keep showing up until I resolve them, until I deal with them. So, for example, and maybe you can relate to this, is one of the reasons that I wanted to start my own business is because I wanted to be more in charge of decision making. I wanted to call the shots. Even though I really connected with the product and loved the people around me and all the previous places that I've worked in, one of the things that has always bothered me is this feeling, sometimes a lot, sometimes a little bit, but ever present, this feeling that things could be more efficient, things could be more optimized, that a lot of times the things that I'm tasked to do or the things that I have to do are really not the most important things that will move our company forward towards our goals. And as somebody who's obsessed with optimizing and with productivity, that really hit a place in me that really bothered me. And so one of the things that I told myself all the time was, when I run my own business, everything will be so much more efficient. I will never spend time on things that don't matter. I am going to 80-20 the shit out of my business, and it'll be all productivity and no fluff. And what really ended up happening when I started my business is I spent a lot of time in fluff. I spent a lot of time in things that I wouldn't say they don't matter, but they definitely haven't been the biggest, boldest needle movers for me. They've just been things that need to get done. And because of my nature to see a task through to completion and do it really, really well, I was really getting sucked into these tasks. They would take me sometimes days, sometimes weeks. And what was really cool but also really scary is that now I had no one else to blame it on. There was no project manager or upper management or somebody else who wrote the roadmap or somebody else assigned me a task that I didn't agree with or I didn't think was the most useful way to spend my time. It was all me now. And so I could really confront the things in me that needed improving. And so that's one thing that a business will definitely do for you, and why I think entrepreneurship is such an amazing ground for personal development and personal growth, is because you have to take responsibility for basically everything that happens. And I certainly had to learn that lesson. And so I definitely saw a lot of things showing up for me, things that I didn't enjoy so much in my time as an employee and working for somebody else. And I would see them coming up again as things that I actually needed to get better at and be better about myself. And I think that it's possible that if I had that sense of ownership sooner, before I had started my business, it's possible that, number one, I would have been more efficient as a business owner when I had started, but also I think I would have had a little bit of an easier time working for somebody else if I had figured those things out sooner. I don't know if that's good or bad. I think I'm grateful that these things have driven me to start my own business, because I really wouldn't have it any other way. But again, to reference point one, if you've made a decision that you're doing this, then you're going to do it, even if your current job is nice, cozy, and comfy, because you want something more. Okay, now the third thing that I wish somebody would have told me, and to be honest, this is stuff that I've heard and people have told me constantly. So I guess I really wish that I would have been more receptive to hearing this third thing, is that it is so much about mindset and energy management. Basically, how I manage my own energy and how I manage my own psychology around starting and running my business. And I was not good at this at all in the beginning, because I'm a very practical person. I'm super analytical, data oriented. I'm also very creative, but when it comes to actually getting things done, I try to learn from what other people have done. I try to learn a specific process or framework, and just like things that work and seem dependable and reliable to me. And while those things are super important, and strategy and tactics and the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts, those are all really important to know, understand, and to utilize. But what I didn't fully understand is that there's no strategy or technique or framework or anything of those things out there that can compensate for a poor mindset, or for a scattered mindset, or for lack of clarity, or for super scattered energy. There's nothing, no matter how much effort you put in, there's just not enough tactic in the world to compensate for a lack of those things. And the reason why is because the ratio that you need of those things in order to succeed is really, really disproportionate. Okay, it is vital that you know how to manage your own psychology, to manage your own energy, and it's vital at a ratio where it's like, I would say over 95% of your, it's just so important. Okay, it is like the main thing. And because let's be conservative and say 90-10, like it's 90% your energy management and your mindset, and it's 10% the strategy and tactics and techniques that you're using and frameworks that you're using. If you think about it that way, you understand that your strategy, if you have a poor mindset or you don't know how to manage your own energy, then your framework has to be 10 times stronger to make up for that. And I actually think the ratio is actually far more skewed than just 90-10. Okay. So I hope that makes sense for you and you understand. And I want to give a few examples because I know that to me, whenever people said mindset, psychology, and all those things, it sounded nice in theory, but I didn't really understand kind of what it means until I hit those walls myself. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it was easy for me to dismiss it and just focus on actioning and doing and not really focusing inwards as much, but focusing a lot on external achieving. I think one of the best examples I can give you is what happened when I made my first big sale in my business. So I had been running this workshop telling people about my strategy and how they can use it to break into high tech. That was my workshop that I had done. And I was selling it for $300, but not $300 per person. I was actually going and selling this to organizations for $300, which if you understand anything about like B2B sales, that's a really low price point. But that's what I did because it wasn't a business back when I was doing that. It was just kind of a hobby. It was something I was interested in. I was working in high tech and that was my main focus at the time. And so this was just a thing that I did on the side. And I mainly just took that money as like, fun spending money and so that I wouldn't do it for free. Probably that's the main reason. But what I did when I started my business, I basically turned that workshop into a coaching program and I sold it for $5,000. And I had awesome instruction on how to do that. I really feel like I learned from the best when it comes to high ticket marketing and high ticket selling. And when I made that first sale, it felt so awesome. It felt amazing. Like I actually couldn't believe that it was happening. Like this thing that, I would teach sometimes like 50 people at a time for $300. And now somebody was going to pay me $5,000 to do it, not even in person, like from the comfort of my own home. It was such an unbelievable, I believed it, but I didn't really believe it. And therein lay the problem. I hadn't conditioned myself to view that as just the thing that happens. I hadn't conditioned myself, my mindset, to view that as, hey, like that's my normal, that's what happens. Of course I can believe it because I'm the kind of person that this happens to every single day on the regular, right? And because I hadn't done that until now, and I was really focused on learning the ropes of what to say, how to market, how to position this service and product, and I really had put my mindset on the back burner. What happened was, as you can imagine, I was in this incredible high. After selling this program, I called all the people in my life to tell them like, yay, I did it. I called my husband and my brother and my mom and like it just told all the people. And I was really, really ecstatic about it. But 2 hours later, and not very many people know this. I actually haven't shared this publicly before, but 2 hours later, I was on the carpet in my living room, just crumpled up in the fetal position, bawling my eyes out. The crash was real because I had gone, all the way up here with this high and because I hadn't conditioned that as my everyday. I hadn't conditioned that as something to expect. I conditioned it as something like totally unbelievable that just happened to me. I came right back down and it hurt like a mother. It was all the feelings of inadequacy, all the feelings of I'm not worth it, all the self-doubt, all of the imposter syndrome, all of it came crashing down on me like a ton of bricks. And I think that, it took me probably like 2 months to make my next sale after that. And it's not for lack of sales calls. Like I had many. And so what I really wish that I would have done is paid more attention to my mindset, and really I wish I would have taken it more seriously and really conditioned that success and the sale and victory and whatever success looks like for you and the goal that you're trying to achieve as kind of like no big deal. Not that it's not exciting, not that I'm not happy about it, not that I'm not, grateful and appreciative of it, but more like it's not unbelievable. It's not unbelievable, because what actually happened to me, if you want to like really get into the nitty-gritty, it's actually exactly what I said. I couldn't believe that it happened. I couldn't believe that I made that sale. I couldn't believe somebody was paying me $5,000 to teach them the stuff that to me was just really easy. And that disbelief first was this incredible joy and happiness and excitement and like, wow. But very shortly after that, because the disbelief was, I wasn't used to believing in that. What happened was it turned on me. And it turned on me in the form of self-doubt. It's like, wait, what? They paid me that? Like, am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with them? And all the self-doubt came because I really didn't work at all on conditioning that belief. So it's really, really important. It's not just this woo-woo fluffy, oh, like, you believe it, you can do it. That's not what this is about. This is really about expanding the confines of what you think is possible for you, so that when you do put in all the hard work to make it happen and it happens for you, then you don't push it away because it's so far out of what you actually believe can happen. Okay, and there's many more examples of that. If you want to hear more examples of how mindset can screw you over when you're not working on it in business and when you're first starting your business, I would really love to share. So just let me know in the comments. And if there's anything else that you guys want to hear about, any questions that you guys have, I do at this point in my channel read all the comments. So please just ask me and I would be happy to answer you or even to make future videos about it. Again, I'm Adina Riel and I hope to see you again soon. I will see you guys later. Bye.